Welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be taking a look at the top 7 most comfortable bobber motorcycles 2025. Number 7. Triumph Bonneville Bobber. The Triumph Bonneville Bobber looks like it was sculpted by a vintage-obsessed artisan with a soft spot for comfort. That low, muscular stance, wide flat handlebars, and floating single-seat scream attitude, but somehow still whisper, "Hey, relax." It's like the motorcycle version of a leather recliner wrapped in British cool. At just under $14,000, it's not cheap, but it definitely feels like money well spent the moment you swing a leg over it. Underneath the stylish tank sits a torquey 1200cc parallel twin engine that churns out around 78 horsepower and a generous 106 Nm of torque. The magic, though, isn't just the numbers, it's how smooth and effortless it feels. Triumph tuned this thing to deliver grunt low in the rev range, meaning you don't have to wring its neck to get moving. Add in the slipper clutch and ride-by-wire throttle, and suddenly a bike that looks stripped down turns out to be loaded with thoughtful engineering. Comfort-wise, it's shockingly civilized. The seat is adjustable. The suspension soaks up bumps like a luxury cruiser pretending to be a bad boy, and the ergonomics somehow manage to cater to long-legged giants and average-sized riders alike. Even the stock exhaust note has a mellow bass that won't leave your ears ringing after an hour on the freeway. In a sea of bobbers that feel like fashion statements first and motorcycles second, the Bonneville Bobber is a rare one that respects your back, your wrists, and your road trips. Number 6. Honda Rebel 1100. The Honda Rebel 1100 is what happens when comfort, tech, and cruiser swagger walk into a bar and actually get along. It keeps the laid-back, minimalist look of a bobber, but adds subtle curves, wide bars, and a low-slung seat that feels like sitting in a perfectly scooped bowl. At a price tag starting around $10,000, it's Honda doing what Honda does best. Giving you way more than what you paid for and doing it with a smirk. Powering it all is a water-cooled 1086cc parallel twin engine lifted from the Africa Twin, but retuned for laid-back, low-end fun. It produces around 87 horsepower and a healthy 100 Nm of torque, which makes for plenty of grunt without drama. What really makes the Rebel 1100 a comfortable standout is how unbobber-like it rides. The ergonomics are upright and relaxed, with pegs in just the right place so your knees don't hate you. The suspension, with a fat fork-up front and adjustable rear shocks, handles city potholes and highway expansion joints without clunk or crunch. The seat, while low, actually supports your lower back like a sneaky little lumbar pillow. And it weighs just over 220 kilos, making it nimble without feeling flimsy. All said, the Rebel 1100 feels like Honda whispered to every sore rider, "Hey, we got you." Number 5. Moto Guzzi V9 Bobber. The Moto Guzzi V9 Bobber looks like it rolled straight out of a back alley cafe in Milan, blacked-out, beefy, and with just the right amount of brooding charm. From its chunky tires to its stripped-back profile, the V9 Bobber oozes Italian attitude. But underneath all that dark swagger is a surprisingly gentle ride. At just over $11,000, it's not screaming bargain, but it does deliver a premium vibe without going full wallet crusher. That long, low stance and wide saddle practically beg you to stay on it longer than you meant to. At the heart of the V9 Bobber lies an air-cooled, 853cc transverse V-twin engine, the signature Guzzi layout that sticks out like a sore thumb and works like a charm. It produces 65 horsepower and 73 Nm of torque, and while those numbers won't melt your tires, they're tuned for one thing: smooth, effortless cruising. Comfort-wise, the V9 Bobber is a pleasant surprise. The saddle is thick and flat with enough room to shift around, and the mid-mounted foot pegs keep your legs in a relaxed, natural position, no yoga poses required. The suspension, while firm, does a solid job at keeping the jolts and bumps at bay, especially on weekend rides through winding country roads. Even the upright bars feel perfectly placed, letting your shoulders relax while the bike does the heavy lifting. All in all, the V9 Bobber might look like it's about to pick a fight, but it rides like it just wants to share a glass of wine and talk about architecture. It's the laid-back Italian bobber that treats your back and your ego with equal care. Number 4. Indian Chief Bobber. The Indian Chief Bobber is what you'd get if a heavyweight boxer wore a tuxedo. It's beefy, it's bold, and it has the kind of road presence that makes SUVs slide over in the lane without being asked. But despite its brawny looks, blacked-out finishes, chunky tires, and a saddle that sits low and proud, this machine is surprisingly comfortable. With a starting price around $16,000, you're paying for both muscle and manners, and the Chief Bobber delivers both with that distinct American rumble. At its core, the Chief Bobber is powered by Indian's Thunderstroke 1116cc V-twin engine. It churns out around 79 horsepower and a meaty 162 Newton-meters of torque. This engine is smooth in all the right places and rumbles in all the right ways. It's tuned to give you torque down low, so you can cruise effortlessly without downshifting every 5 seconds. The real comfort lies in how the Chief Bobber carries its weight. The seat is low and plush, putting you in a commanding yet relaxed position. The foot controls are forward set but not stretched to absurdity, and the wide handlebars give you a solid, upright grip that doesn't murder your wrists. Even the suspension, especially the hidden rear shock, eats up rough roads like it's snacking on potholes. In short, the Chief Bobber feels like it was built by people who want the attitude of a custom bike, but not the pain of one. It's a bobber that understands your need for both street cred and spine care. Number 3. Royal Enfield Shotgun 650. The Royal Enfield Shotgun 650 is what happens when retro styling and everyday comfort swipe right on each other. It's got that stripped-down, bobber silhouette, chunky rear tire, chopped fender, solo seat, but nothing about it feels half-baked. This thing looks like it was sketched by someone who wanted cool points and cushy rides. Painted in bold shades with a laid-back stance, the Shotgun 650 doesn't scream for attention, but it definitely earns a second and third glance. And with a price hovering around $7,000, it's one of the few bikes that won't make your wallet cry louder than the exhaust. Powering this rebel is Royal Enfield's tried-and-true 648cc parallel twin engine, the same one that made their Interceptor and Continental GT a hit. It delivers around 47 horsepower and 52 Newton-meters of torque. On paper, that might sound mellow, but in real life, it's smooth, torquey, and almost meditative. Comfort-wise, this bobber is far more refined than it looks. The riding triangle is neutral, with mid-mounted pegs and wide bars that let you ride for hours without turning into a chiropractor's dream customer. The solo seat might look minimalist, but it's thick, supportive, and doesn't go numb after 30 minutes. Suspension travel is generous for a bobber-style bike, and it soaks up uneven roads like it's trying to impress your spine. All said and done, the Shotgun 650 is a proper mix of form and function. It may look like a rebel, but deep down it's a softie, the kind of motorcycle that wants to take you places without beating you up on the way there. Number 2. Indian Scout Bobber 20. The Indian Scout Bobber 20 is like a time machine that actually knows how to ride comfortably. With its wire-spoke wheels, floating solo seat, and matte finishes, it gives off serious 1920s rebel energy, but don't let the vintage vibes fool you. From the lowered stance to the teardrop tank, it's a visual treat with enough swagger to make people assume you know how to fix it yourself. You won't need to. Coming in around $13,000, it's priced like a statement, but one that speaks fluent comfort. Under the retro skin is a liquid-cooled 1133cc V-twin that spits out a very healthy 100 horsepower and 97 Newton-meters of torque. That's not just bobber power, that's full-blown cruiser performance. The throttle response is crisp, the power delivery is linear, and the engine makes a sound that's somewhere between a low growl and a content purr. Now for the comfort, and yes, the 20 version of the Scout Bobber does it better than most. That solo seat isn't just for show, it's actually well padded and absorbs just enough road shock to keep your tailbone out of trouble. The mini ape handlebars give you a relaxed arm angle, while mid-mounted foot controls keep your knees bent just right. No awkward stretching or cramping after 20 minutes. Overall, the Scout Bobber 20 feels like a love letter to classic design wrapped around a modern, easygoing soul. It looks like it wants to rumble, but rides like it's offering you a smoke and a chair. Number 1. Harley-Davidson Street Bob 114. The Harley-Davidson Street Bob 114 is what happens when you take a bar fight bruiser and teach it yoga. It's lean, stripped down, and tough as nails. Yet somehow, it manages to deliver a ride so smooth you'll think it's secretly wearing orthopedic inserts. And at just under $16,000, it's pure Milwaukee metal without the fully loaded touring price tag. Powering this beast is the Milwaukee 1143cc V-twin, a torque-happy engine that churns out 119 Newton-meters of grunt. That's right, twist the throttle and it doesn't ask questions. It just goes. The power band is meaty, predictable, and endlessly satisfying. Despite the stripped-down bobber look, the Street Bob 114 is one of the comfiest Harleys in the Softail family. The seat, while looking basic, is actually decently plush and low enough for most riders to flat-footed stops. Those tall bars might seem dramatic, but they're angled perfectly to keep your shoulders relaxed. The mid-mount foot controls land your legs in a neutral spot, and the rear monoshock suspension, surprisingly absorbent even when the pavement decides to throw a tantrum. All things considered, the Street Bob 114 is for riders who want gritty style without giving up their lumbar health. It's a rebellious cruiser that somehow makes every ride feel like a smooth Sunday escape, no chiropractor required. And with this, we have reached the end of this video. Make sure to like it and subscribe the channel for future upcoming videos.